It's almost time for this year's N7 Day, so that means it's time to go over everything that we know about Mass Effect 5. The game may be several years away, but we have been given quite a bit of information about it. So here's everything. Everything is separated into categories such as timeline, protagonist, and characters, etc. And the reality is that we don't really know concrete information about Mass Effect 5, except for a few details. So first, let's begin with the basics. Mass Effect 5 will be a single-player game developed on Unreal Engine 5, with the use of metahuman. Last we knew, they were still in pre-production. As far as the release date, many industry insiders have speculated different dates. Jeff Grubb said 2029, Tom Henderson said 2027, and Mark Doris says 2027 or 2028. Grubb also said that it's an industry rumor that Mass Effect 5 will return to its linear structure, similar to the original trilogy. Other elements returning from the original trilogy are the photorealistic style and the mature tone. The BioWare 25-year anniversary book says to expect amazing new worlds to explore, with memorable characters buoyed by the series' signature choices and consequences. Gamble adds to this by saying, "There's an incredible universe of history to draw from, and many more stories for us to tell. We're focusing on creating something truly for the fans." And that's all that we know that is confirmed. But there has been a ton of teasing. And before I get into the following details, you might be asking yourself, do all of these teases even matter, especially if the game is so far away? Do they actually mean anything? Well, several times Gamble has reaffirmed just how meticulous and intentional they were with everything, dating back to the 2020 trailer. Even with a recent post which, to me, reads as him confirming that everything is there for a reason. So how much you want to read into this, I guess, is your perspective. With that said, here is everything that has been revealed or teased about the timeline, protagonist, characters, development, and everything else. The timeline is unconfirmed, but from this interview back in 2020 after the trailer released, Liana Rupert, who was close with BioWare at the time, said she spoke to a BioWare dev, and the next game is confirmed to take place roughly 600 years into the future. So she does confirm that Liara is in her matriarch stage. And here is the full quote.
Obviously, we know Liara's much older. I would put her at now around 800 years, given off the trailer, and also I've confirmed that she's much older with the BioWare devs as well. So we know it's very much set in the future.
Whether you want to see this as confirmation or not is up to you. And no one else has confirmed or addressed this, and she hasn't spoken on it since. So who knows, but we do have several tweets and teases that do connect to Andromeda. And the 2023 teaser from N7 Day directly references 2819, the year that Ryder's story takes place. When the entire message is decoded, it says Oculon 2018 Defiance, classified, review briefing materials on official Alliance comms channels. The music from the same teaser also contains music from all the games, including Andromeda. Eden Prime when you first arrive when you're meeting Javik, the Andromeda song that plays when you're meeting PB, though I couldn't find a title. There's also Walled Garden when you're on Key to Zero with Jal, finding the empty Angara templates. And then the Mars soundtrack and the music that plays during Grunt's mission are Let Company. In the initial 2020 trailer, we have the opening shot of both galaxies, which Gamble did say was intentional. Then we have the Godspeed Pathfinder quote from Andromeda. Interestingly enough, this dates back to a comment by Yannick Roy, an Andromeda dev, who said the Andromeda trailer with the Shepard voiceover was Shepard signing off and wishing Ryder/us Godspeed on a new adventure. And no, Gamble did clarify that this trailer is not a Mass Effect 2 recreation, which I thought was obvious, but it's not. Gamble has also tweeted a picture of the Milky Way and Andromeda galaxies converging. In 2022, we got this new piece of concept art with what I think is Ilium, but it has the traditional sky cars that we know from the original trilogy, and similar buildings and Asari clothing. But it also has omega signs, and signs we are familiar with from Andromeda. This concept art from 2021 that Gamble posted with the quote from the relays points towards the original trilogy once again, specifically with the sky cars, familiar designs, and also the Solar Electronics and Apex Omnitool signs, which are both signs from Omega and the Citadel. This piece of art seems to have similar underground bunkers, like the ones we see in Mass Effect 1, but no idea when this one could be dated. This blue concept art reminds me of the Prothean designs, specifically with the Prothean data cache on Mars and Javik's memory shard, but it also looks very similar to Remnant technology. And when someone on Twitter mentioned that this could be Remnant or Prothean technology, Gamble said, or maybe it's ... So maybe there's more to this, maybe it's both, maybe it's neither. And the next game is being internally called Mass Effect 5. That's just a placeholder, it's not the final name, but you can find it in the 2020 trailer metadata. In the concept art it also says SFX5, which SFX was Mass Effect's original name, so this says Mass Effect 5. And if they are including Andromeda, that kind of makes sense. Again, this is just a placeholder, I don't think it means that much, but if they are including Andromeda, it would make sense to call this 5. Alongside the placeholder, the project name is Bowie. There's also this small piece of Citadel concept art that was on the BioWare blog from 2023. And this is repurposed old art, but it has been updated and changed. This is new. There's also a new planet, meaning a new location. All the Citadel buildings and skyline also aren't here. And interestingly enough, in Revelation, it's revealed that all of the buildings on the Citadel arms weren't there until after the Council was formed. So that places this one in a weird timeline. Could this be a new Citadel? Or is this just after Mass Effect 3? The vacuum dock relay footage from 2022 is also full of a bunch of stuff. There's the visual distortion that moves across the screen, the distorted audio that was decoded, which became the audio of Liara and Ageth. The decoded dialogue says, "Exactly, the Council will be furious, although they should know by now not to underestimate human defiance." Something that sounds like Shepard? Humans? Something wasn't always the most forgiving. How did we miss this? And that middle portion isn't exact. I think I've seen a few different interpretations of what's being said, so I don't think we know 100%. But this points to Liara referencing something from her time dealing with the Council, and something that she missed. This is definitely setting something up to be in the Milky Way galaxy, and of course connected to the Council, and something from the past. Whether she's talking to a Geth or if the Geth are listening is unknown, since I'd assume a decoder would have decoded the Geth's language as well. This N7 poster also has some kind of bar scene that does match the aesthetics of the Citadel, or even Omega, more than anything we've seen in Andromeda. This image also contains both a Geth and Angara, pointing to the Milky Way races, and also the Andromeda races have come together somehow. A fan tweets, "The trio appears to be an Angara, Drell, and Solarian, so Andromeda, but who is on the left?" Gamble responds, "Don't be so sure about anything you just wrote." Honestly, he hasn't really been shy at all about the Andromeda connections, and he even tweeted, "I've thought about this almost every day for the past 1,360 days, which is March 17, 2017, the release of Andromeda." A fan also tweets, "I heard Godspeed and all I can think of is that moment taking off in the Tempest for the first time." And Gamble replies, "Intentional." Another major tease by Gamble is when Lazaire, an amazing artist, tweets, "Opening shot also has very pointed imagery of two galaxies. My mind is racing. Are we going to get a single sequel to both games?" And Gamble replies, "Intentional." Another fan tweets, "I can't say I'm not excited, but BioWare just abandoned Andromeda. This is not good. Some of us connected with Ryder and crew. BioWare just slapped us and gave us candy." And Gamble replies, "I think you should wait and see." Gamble also tweets in February of 2021 that he's doing a full playthrough as homework, and yes, he did an Andromeda playthrough as well. In May of 2021, Gamble also asked a fan a very interesting question. A fan responds to the trailer asking if they'll ever bring closure to Andromeda, and Gamble responds, "What's closure mean to you? Just interested." Gamble also liked my tweet where I talk about how excited I am to see how the next game connects to Andromeda. Mind you, I don't really want to go there, but I do think there are some cool connections and some possibilities. Over the years, Gamble has tweeted a lot of things about the Andromeda and Milky Way galaxies. He really hasn't been subtle at all in his teasing. Honestly, the timeline remains probably Mass Effect's biggest mystery, next to is Shepard returning. But it's clear Andromeda will be connected in some capacity. But alongside that, we do have Liara walking on dead Reapers, confirmed by Gamble, so we don't know how this all connects. But we know that this is after Mass Effect 3's ending, and somehow the Reapers are dead. When it comes to the protagonist, we don't know exactly who the protagonist is, and there's been no confirmation of anything around Shepard. But I think this N7 is our new protagonist. We've seen them featured twice, first in this poster and in this trailer. And I think from a few things we can kind of make some connections and conclusions. I will also just point out that the BioWare Gear Store has already made merch of this N7's coat, which feels like something that they would do for a protagonist, not just like a side character or even an antagonist. So this portion of the video will be about this N7. They are obviously an N7 of some kind. They have a silencer on their gun and are giving a bit of a secret agent 007 kind of vibe. Their helmet completely conceals who they are, and their jacket and boots of course still have the iconic N7 designation. But they're different than the ones that we know. They also have a similar design of Shepard's old armor, with the ribbing in the back and the attachments for the weapons, but no booster pack like you'd expect from Andromeda. From the teaser messages from 2023, we also know that if these messages connect to this N7, then they're still working for and with the Alliance, since it says security breach detected, contact Systems Alliance, classified, review briefing materials on official Alliance comms channels. Aside from the Alliance mentions, we also see a callback to the Renegade and Paragon symbol in the colors and shape of the designs in the N7 jacket on the poster, which Gamble did later comment on, that even though more people played Paragon, the choice would have been meaningless if Renegade hadn't existed. The ability to choose is stronger than the number of people playing any option. When I quote retweeted this, Gamble replied that he was only talking about the trilogy, and we'll just have to wait and see. As for if this N7 appears anywhere else, I don't really think we've maybe seen them, except maybe in this 2021 Mass Effect Will Continue poster. And while I initially thought that this was a Rider helmet, I have no idea if this N7 is here. The 2022 Mass Effect Twitter also said thank you to all the agents who decoded the footage. There's also the reflection of the N7 colors in the 2022 relay clip, which we see in the very beginning of Mass Effect 1. Again, there's a lot of theories about who this N7 is, if Shepard is returning, or if Ryder is returning. For me, I think this N7 is the protagonist, which is why I covered them here, but again, this is all speculation, which is the exact same thing for any returning characters. Aside from the N7, the only other confirmation we have is Liara. Now, Liana Rupert did say that Liara would be over 700, and in her matriarch stage, which kind of makes sense if this is her new outfit. This concept art was shared after the 2020 trailer, and in this version, Liara does have a darker suit, which is common for matriarchs, and it also reminds me a lot of matriarch Benezia. But of course, nothing has really been confirmed. But Liara is back, and so are her voice actress Ali Hillis and her face model, Jillian Murray. When someone pointed out that Liara looks older, Murray says that she is aged. In this concept art, Gamble puts this quote, "Although they should know by now not to underestimate human defiance, Liara Tassoni, Doctor, Shadow Broker, and Redacted." Another fan also asks if Liara is happy, and Gamble responds, "With happy, I mean depends." In the N7 poster, we also see this concept art that looks like it could be Liara. And Gamble did respond to someone who says this looks like Liara and her Geth bodyguard. Additionally, in the teaser from 2023, we see what maybe looks like a Krogan in the background. A few people have pointed out the shape of this light and how it looks like a Krogan's armor set. Could this be Grunt? Could this also be Grunt in the 2021 poster, wearing Rex's armor? Aside from this, we don't really know of anything else, but we've seen Thane and Morden concept art of their silhouettes repurposed to show new Drell and new Solarians, since obviously they're both gone. But the concept art that we have seen, of course, has familiar faces, such as Turians, Hanar, Volus, Asari, humans, and Krogan. But there haven't been any sightings of a Quarian, Batarian, or Vorcha. Nor have we seen any Prothean. Not that I really expected that, but we did see a huge Solarian, which might be a Listheni. A larger, more muscular Solarian only introduced in the expanded media, but never seen in-game before. We can also see an Angara, with similar clothing to that of the ones that we meet in Andromeda. Then there's the mysterious Geth with this armor set, cosplay, Halloween costume. I do also think that in this image, there's also some potential synthetic characters, but it's so pixelated it's hard to tell. I also want to point out that the Turian has the weird Turian legs from Andromeda instead of the standard Turian legs from the original trilogy, which really bothers me and I hate that. I also don't know why they gave this Turian an eyepiece like Garrus's, unless this is supposed to be Garrus. The woman on the right is also wearing a suit exactly like Liara's in Mass Effect 1, worn by scientists and doctors. There's a lot in this image, and I still don't feel like we've uncovered all of its secrets just yet. We also see the shape of a Geth head in the Mass Effect Will Continue poster. There's also a bunch of dead Geth around it, and maybe even a Quarian, though the shape of the Quarian doesn't really match proportions, but in the middle of the crater is most likely Element 0. And that's really it for all of the characters and alien races. We haven't seen any Quarians, and we also haven't seen any Ket, which I think makes sense because I don't really think we're going to see the Ket ever again anyways. But it's interesting that we still haven't seen the Quarians just yet. Here is everything else for Mass Effect 5. We don't know who the composer of the actual game will be, but for the 2020 trailer, Gamble revealed that it was Benjamin Wallfitch. Another fan also broke down some lines in the trailer, specifically pointing out an excerpt from War of the Worlds, and Gamble responds confirming it. This would later be removed from the trailer because of copyright issues. Someone also says, "Why is a new relay being built? We saw the ones damaged in the Reaper War repaired. So where does this new design lead?" And Gamble replies, "A most excellent question." He also says maybe it's connected when someone asks if the N7 is on the broken relay, which might make sense considering the colors on these canisters match the colors on the relay itself, which are very similar to Cerberus colors. And Gamble did like a tweet a while ago that said that these were Cerberus colors. Shortly after the 2020 trailer was revealed, concept artist Marco Iazzi post concepts of the trailer, and it's all of the galaxies, the stars, and kind of everything going on in the background. The titles of these concept arts are titled Establishing, Reaching Twin Star, Glowing Star Explosion, Glowing Star, and Establishing. And I made a video about this and kind of about dark energy and dying stars, and I ask, is this a dying star? And Gamble liked the tweet. Gamble quote retweets saying, "Here's a glimpse into where we are heading," and responds to himself saying, "What could it all mean?" He likes another tweet comparing the Mass Effect Will Continue poster to the mass relay. The tweet says, "I see a lot of Geth comparisons, but is it actually a buried mass relay? Maybe, maybe not." On the vacuum dock relay clip, we also see some information about its location, ownership, and purpose. Vacuum dock relay construction record / monitoring station, operated by Green Dagger Limited, property of Deep Space Dow SAV. Ship captain Sevnavark Saural Zillion Jones. The name sounds like a Quarian / human maybe got married, or something along those lines. And Green Dagger is the name for a large-scale military operation that involves several allied forces. Maybe that's what this relay is. There's also a mention of SA-314, going to assume the SA Systems Alliance, and 314 is in reference to the First Contact War that happened due to the activation of Mass Relay 314. The information also says 11790. Is this 2190? Is this 2890? There's a lot of possibilities of what this could be, but obviously they're keeping it vague on purpose. There was also a new Citadel print that seems to have a new tagline for the Citadel and is dated 8186 or something like that. Whether this is actually a date or not, though, is not confirmed. Someone also asked Gamble what his favorite Mass Effect ship is, and he responds with something you haven't seen yet. DC Douglas, the voice of Legion and the Geth, had also posted something on Twitter about booking a AAA video game where he plays a redacted. He deleted the tweet before I could grab a screenshot, and of course it's not for sure that this is about Mass Effect, but just an interesting thing for him to say. Also, the N7 image for the 2023 teaser on YouTube has the shadow of the Normandy below it. Shout out to Paragon 7, aka Atharia, for finding this one. Go check her out if you haven't. Gamble also tweeted that Mass Effect 5 will of course have its iconic lens flare. Jez Corden also posted on Twitter saying, "Dear devs, please stop combining jump and interact buttons." And Gamble replied with eyes, because Mass Effect 5 has to have the worst interact jump slide cover button ever. Hopefully Mass Effect 5 will not suffer the same issue. And that's it. I think that's everything that we know about the game. Now let's talk about BioWare's extremely rocky development for this game. Unfortunately, since the game's announcement in 2020, the studio has had several rounds of layoffs. These layoffs have been for a number of reasons, but ultimately EA sucks. Tale as old as time. We don't know what happened with the lawsuit from the devs laid off in 2024, and majority of them haven't announced where they ended up. But through these layoffs, every single original writer from the original trilogy is gone. On top of this, the studio has completely abandoned Dragon Age, and BioWare is officially a Mass Effect-only studio. The team, from what I've heard, is around 80. Devs that were hired just for Mass Effect 5 were moved to Veilguard and then to other studios entirely. They were also told that if they wanted to work on Mass Effect again, they'd have to reapply for the jobs that they already applied to, got interviewed for, and hired for. Frankly, it was extremely fucked up and several devs left. So there are less than 100 BioWare devs working on Mass Effect 5. Lately, EA has been pulling from within their other EA studios like Motive to finish games. So I assume that's what will end up happening for Mass Effect 5. There have been a few new job listings within the last few months, but nothing noteworthy and nothing showing that they are actually in full production yet. With that said, here are the current known developers working on Mass Effect 5. Michael Gamble is the project director as of 2019. Mary DeMarle is a senior narrative director, alongside Michael Tucker, who is a narrative director. So far, those are the only two writers or narrative devs that we know of. Derek Watts is the original art director of the original trilogy, and he rejoined BioWare to be the art director for Mass Effect 5. Alongside him, he is joined by other veterans, such as Brennan Holmes, who was a producer and is once again a producer. Then Parrish Lay, who was the cinematic director on the original trilogy, and is now the creative director. Preston Watomniuk is the game's director. Nathan Zufelt is the animation director. And as far as veterans, this is really what we know, aside from Tucker and DeMarle, who are new additions to BioWare. And if you're wondering why Mass Effect 5 is still in pre-production, the answer has two reasons. In 2020, when the game was announced, it was basically to garner interest, and studio support, and to keep Mass Effect alive. The game was still being worked on by a very small team, and when the team began growing, they moved over to help finish Dragon Age Veilguard, so realistically, only a small amount of work was truly done before they moved into pre-production as a team. And they only did that after Veilguard shipped in October of 2024. So that 2029 that Jeff Grubb estimated may be accurate. Only time will tell. We have seen in-engine footage, so hopefully the game isn't super far out, but yeah, I'm expecting pretty far. At the very earliest, maybe 2028, but 2029 seems more realistic. We'll see. Alongside the development, we also learned this year that not only is EA moving into AI, but they're also having problems with it. AI as a tool for developers seems to really suck right now. And EA is using some kind of chat GPT that is apparently making a ton of errors. No idea if BioWare is using it, or what exactly they intend to do with the tech, but yeah. And lastly, the worst news is that EA has been bought by the Saudi Arabia Personal Investment Fund, Silver Lake, and Affinity Partners for $55 billion. The Saudi Arabia portion is pretty terrible, and the loan itself, from my understanding, is some kind of junk loan, one that is considered high risk. With EA being under so much financial pressure, who knows what EA and Mass Effect will look like in the future. Sorry to end that on a depressing note, but it is the reality of being a Mass Effect fan right now. We don't really know what the future looks like, and it's kind of scary. But that's everything that we know about Mass Effect 5. And honestly, I shouldn't have formatted the video this way, because I realized after I was done that a lot of this stuff was kind of hard to put in categories since most of it is speculative and not really a confirmation. So, sorry. Anyways, N7 Day is right around the corner, and last year Gamble did tease about this year. Though that was a year ago, so I don't know how much I really take this as meaning anything. I guess we'll find out in about 10 days, but I would keep your expectations very, very low. Mass Effect has had several layoffs, they don't have a dedicated community manager anymore, and the community manager behind 2023 was Jay, and he was let go. They also don't have a full production team, so they don't have animators or any of the things that they did in 2023. So yeah, keep your expectations low. But I will see you guys for N7 Day. I have a few streams coming up, and of course I'll be streaming on the day. But let me know your thoughts. How are you feeling about this N7 Day? How are you feeling about Mass Effect? Let me know your comments below, and thank you so much for watching. Thank you to my channel members, thank you to my Patreon supporters. Thank you all so much, and I'll see you guys for N7 Day.